welcome to Crafts, Laughs, and Chaos. My name is Rebecca and welcome to my channel. I am going to craft 3 mini Valentine's crafts today, so come craft with me. My first project is whimsical and cute, and it's going to be with conversation hearts. And I'm going to start out using these little wooden boxes that I pick up at the Dollar Tree. And anytime I see these boxes, they have lids, and the lids are cut out with different shapes. And I usually don't use them for their designed purpose, but I craft with them and I use them for all sorts of things. And so I just pick them up and I keep them in my stash. And I'm going to paint one box with Apple Barrel's Pink Parfait acrylic paint, and the inside and all 4 sides of the outside. And then I have some purple acrylic paint that I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take the stickers off of the back, and I'm going to paint the inside and all 4 sides of the outside of these boxes with the acrylic paint that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I just used one coat for all of these, and it covered really well. I actually kind of like the acrylic paint that I pick up at the Dollar Tree. You get 6 ounces for $1.25, and they carry some pretty decent colors. And every now and then I grab a color that I really kind of like, and I set it aside and I keep it for an emergency crafting purpose. So I use it in some of my crafting projects, and I find that it covers really well. So I use Apple Barrel for most of my projects, but occasionally I do use the Dollar Tree paint. So I like it. I don't know. It works. Whatever works, you use whatever works and whatever you have on hand. So it didn't take very long for these to dry. And then I had some DIY Valentine stickers. They were heart stickers that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. And I used the pink one because I did not want to paint it, and I wanted my conversation hearts. I knew they weren't going to cover very well, and I wanted the pink to kind of show through to the back. And I just arranged my conversation hearts all over the little heart. And then once I got my placement done, then I just started gluing them on. And I used my hot glue, and I just glued them on where I had placed them. And I thought that they kind of made a little bit of a starburst pattern, and I just glued them on. And I like to work with conversation hearts. Like I've said before, conversation hearts to me are kind of a vintage throwback to childhood, and they kind of give a little bit of whimsy to your Valentine decor. And so once I had that done, I just applied 2 Jenga blocks, glued them together with some hot glue, and made sure that I held them until they were good and secure. And then I glued my heart to the Jenga block, or the tumbling tower block that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. And then I just painted 3 sides of that tumbling tower block, and that was the only sides that were going to show. And then I just hot glued that and placed it in the center of my little box, and it was done. For my next box, my purple box, I took the DIY stickers and I chose the smaller heart and the unfinished heart, and I just put a coat of purple paint on that heart. And then I took the tumbling tower blocks once again, and I hot glued 2 together. And then I put the pink heart and I took the sticker off the back, and I hot glued the pink heart to the tumbling tower block. And then I placed I covered the tumbling tower block with paint that I knew it would show on 3 sides. And then I hot glued it to the center of the box. And then I'm going to hot glue the little purple heart to the center of the pink heart. And next I'm going to put a conversation heart. I'm going to hot glue that right to the center. And then I'm going to place my conversation hearts in a little pattern. And I started with the corners first so that I would know where to put my conversation hearts in the middle. And then I just started hot gluing my conversation hearts all around the edges of my little wooden box. And I thought these little boxes turned out so cute. You can actually use them for standalone pieces or put them with other decor, or you can use them on a tiered tray. If you're doing a tiered tray with a conversation heart theme, it would kind of add to your tiered tray decor. They make really good. I like a tiered tray theme, but I actually think that they're really cute stacking and they're just standalone decor. But I just put my conversation hearts and I just continued with my pattern and I just hot glued them all along the edge of my little purple box until I had all of my edges really nice and covered with my conversation hearts. I actually picked up the Friends conversation hearts and I glued the conversation hearts because I did not like the wording. And I glued the conversation hearts to the back. And it is done. My next project I have seen all over Pinterest and a couple of YouTube channels, and I really have no idea what channels I have seen this on, but they have done this project, a little Valentine couple walking a dog. And they have done this with scrap wood, but I don't have any scrap wood laying around, and a lot of people don't either. So my idea was, why can't you do this with tumbling tower blocks? So I was bumping around the idea, so I just thought I would sit down and see if I could put this together. So I used 2 tumbling tower blocks that I glued together, and then I glued 2 more on top of that, and I did 3 sections of tumbling tower blocks that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. And 3 sections made the little guy. And then I put a side piece on top, on the side, just to make him a little bit less wobbly and so that he would stand up a little bit better. So I then glued that to the side of each one of my sections. So I hope that doesn't sound confusing, but anyway, so for my little guy, I used 3 sections of 2, and then I put a section on the side. I glued a section on the side with my hot glue gun. You can use wood glue for this, but it's going to take a little bit longer of a project, and honestly, my hot glue gun made it really secure, so I was comfortable with it. For my little gal, I used 2 sections. So I glued 2 tumbling tower blocks together, and then I put 1 on the side of her as well. And that made my little guy and my little girl. So for my guy, I used black acrylic paint. And I painted him on all 4 sides and then the top. And for some odd reason, the things that I do that I can't explain, I did paint his bottom too. Nobody's going to see the bottom. At least I hope he's not going to get knocked over and nobody's going to see the bottom. But I painted the bottom too. But I painted all 4 sides and then I painted the bottom. And I got lost in my project and forgot the camera was rolling. And so I'm completely out of frame for some of this. So I apologize. I got lost in what I was doing. So there we have it. You can sand this, but I chose not to sand it. I just took a paper towel and wiped off the excess paint. So for my girl, I chose the Pink Parfait paint by Apple Barrel, and I painted her pink. And so I just did all four sides and the top and bottom. So you'll want to paint the top, but you don't have to paint the bottom. And your fingers won't get so messy if you don't paint the bottom. But I painted the top and the bottom and all four sides of this in the Pink Parfait. And then when I had one good coat on, I just took my paper towel and I just dried it off and wiped off all the excess paint instead of sanding. So you can sand it and make it a little bit more rustic, but I chose not to. So for my next project, my little dog, I chose the crafting blocks that you can get at the Dollar Tree. And I glued 3 of them together. And then I took the white paint by Apple Barrel, the white acrylic, and I painted all 4 sides and the top and bottom. Now for the dog, you will want to paint the top and the bottom because he does have a head and a rump, so that will show. So you do want to paint all the pieces of this particular this particular creature. You will want to paint all of the sides. So, and then I just wiped it off with a paper towel as well. I've got the beads. I think I got them from Hobby Lobby, and then some twine that I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I just looped my twine back and forth a little bit, and then I took some hot glue, enough to where I could fit it into the top of the bead, and I cut it, and I took some hot glue and waited till it cooled a little bit, and then I just wound it in my fingers, and then I put some hot glue inside my bead, and then I just stuck that inside my bead. And then I gave it, when it was nice and tight, I gave it a little bit of a haircut to make some hair for my little guy. And when I got it the length that I thought looked good, I just fluffed it with my fingers and made his hair stand up, kind of in a little flat top look. And then I just glued it to the top of my little guy. And my little guy is done. For my girl, I chose the same thing. I chose to give her some bangs, and I'm going to do a messy bun. You can do long hair, you can do a ponytail, you can do whatever. I put some twine on the top of my wooden bead and hot glued it on, and then I gave my little bangs after they were nice and tight. I gave my bangs a little bit of a trim and fluffed them out with my fingers so they would be just a little bit fluffy and even. And then I just started winding my twine. I did fill in a couple of spots that I didn't want her bangs to look all scraggly. And then I just started winding, I put a bead of hot glue around, and I just started winding my twine around the top of my bead. And I just wound it around until it had a nice little, I was trying to cover the hole in the top of the bead. And I probably should have used my finger covers so that I wouldn't burn myself. So I was trying to be really careful, but sometimes those finger covers are just like lumpy and bumpy, and they get in the way, and you can't get a really good grip on things. So I was trying to just be careful and do it with my fingers and not burn myself. And then I didn't want the hot glue all over the place. So you can do it without finger covers. And I was just trying to give her a nice little messy bun, and then I just cut it off once I had my little bun up there, and kind of fluffed out the ends that I had left, and gave her a nice little fringe on the top of her little messy bun. And then her little bun and bangs are complete, and then I just glued it to the top of her head. And my Valentine's gal, she's done, and she's She's all ready. So now it's time to work on my dog. And I had I put the little head on with a smaller bead, and I kind of just chased my beads around the table. I put some hot glue on my beads, and then because they were really small and they were kind of hard to work together. The hot glue strings were a little challenging, but I just put hot glue on the beads and then just set them on my little dog where I wanted his feet to be, and I just put the 4 feet on my dog, and I put a slightly larger bead on the top for his head, and one slightly larger bead on the back end for his tail, and that made 4 legs and a tail and a head for my little dog. And then I had a little scrap of twine, and I just pushed that inside the hole of my bead and fluffed it out like I did the hair for my little Valentine guy, and that made the tail for my little puppy dog. I had some heart ribbon, and I cut off a little heart, and I hot glued that, put a little dab of hot glue there, and I decided to embellish the neck of my dog, so to make his collar. And so then I just cut a strip out of my gingham Valentine ribbon, because that's a pretty tiny little dog, and my ribbon was a little bit big. And so I just cut some strips of ribbon and down to the size that I wanted, and made just a little shoelace bow, and it kind of raveled, so I just kind of went with it and cut the ravels and kind of made it look a little bit raggedy taggedy and rustic, and I was kind of happy with how it turned out. And then when I had my bow done, I just hot glued it to the top of the little puppy dog's head, and my puppy dog is done. And I thought he turned out really cute. So it's time to put all of my pieces together. So I wound some twine, can't speak, wound some twine around my 2 people, my Valentine's guy and gal, and I just hot glued the back of it, and I actually put a little dab of hot glue between the 2 pieces, and I held it together, and then I just wound some twine around the 2 pieces, and I hot glued them in the back, and that made their arms. So once I had the hot glue and I had them all pieced together, I took my Valentine felt stickers and I hot glued a heart in between the 2 arms. And then I took some twine and I tucked it inside the heart just a little bit and hot glued that down. And I measured the length that I wanted down to the puppy dog, and I hot glued that to his collar, to the little heart, and held that in place with my scissors. And my Valentine's Day couple is done walking their dog. I picked up this farmhouse chicken at the Dollar Tree, and I thought it was really cute. I wanted to do something with it, but I didn't like that the back was unfinished. So I took my Apple Barrel matte acrylic black paint, and I went ahead and painted the back of this little chicken. And so it had a couple of pieces, a little nicks in the front, so I just went ahead and touched everything up, and I painted right down to the bottom of the stand that the chicken was on. I had a couple of these Valentine grapevine wreaths left over from a previous project, and so I just fit them in to the base of the chicken. And so I took my berry garland that I had left over from a previous project, and I cut it, and I just proceeded to wind it around these two hearts. And it took a little doing because it's kind of awkward, but I just wound it in and out and in and out and kind of bound the two hearts together with this berry garland. And I love this berry garland. It is absolutely beautiful, and it's a nice embellishment without being too much embellishment. It's just a nice touch. So I just cut off pieces, just enough here and there, and you can't wind the whole thing because it's a small, tiny little project. So you just have to cut off little tiny pieces. So I just cut off just small lengths enough to just wind it here and there. Thank goodness it's wired. And then I just, when I got all of my berry garland wound between the two wreaths, and got enough where I wanted it arranged, I just hot glued it to the base of my little chicken so that it would sit like it's sitting on a heart nest. And I held it in place until it dried. I had some buffalo check ribbon that I had left over from a previous project. I don't even throw scrap ribbon away. And so I just made a finger loop bow, just a little shoelace bow, and I tied that ribbon up. And then I had the gingham, red and white gingham check ribbon, and I just kind of looped it over together twice and made a nice little bow. And then I just kind of pushed that in to the black and white gingham. Before I had made it really nice and tight, I just pushed it into the black and white gingham bow just to kind of, I don't know, juice up the black and white and give it just a little bit of Valentine. But this actually is a little piece that could go into just regular decor. It doesn't necessarily have to be Valentine's decor. It can just be everyday farmhouse decor. So I hot glued that little bow onto my chicken, and I thought about putting wording on, but then I thought better of it, and I just like it as is. It's not specific to Valentine's Day. I am so glad that I've been able to spend some quality crafting time with you, and I hope that you've gotten some inspiration so that you can go off and create some little Valentine minis on your own. So, thank you for watching Crafts, Laughs, and Chaos. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so that you know when I've uploaded my next video, and give me a thumbs up and drop me a comment and let me know what's going on in your crafting world. So, thanks for watching Crafts, Laughs, and Chaos. Have a great weekend.